So this is the brand new Acer Swift Edge 16, and it's using a Ryzen 7 7840U. It retails for about $1299, so the price is not too bad. But this is one of AMD's first laptop to use Ryzen AI. And you would think that this AI would do so many things, but the only thing that this AI is doing right now is giving you Windows Studio effects. So you could basically go directly into Windows and change the way the camera works. Just like other applications give you a blurred background or a portrait background, you can do that directly in Windows. You could also auto frame so that if you move a little bit to the left or the right, the camera will follow you. Even though it kind of looks a little slow, it works, but it's not as fast as what Center Stage does on the MacBook. And lastly, you can basically have your eyes always centered onto the webcam, which is fine, makes things a bit more personal. But like, these are the extent of the AI features that are being baked into this laptop. Everything else remains pretty much the same, you know? Like, this is the same looking Acer Swift Edge 16 that I reviewed last year. It's pretty much an LG Gram 16 competitor. Like, you press down on the top of the lid, it's pretty secure. It's using a magnesium alloy chassis. It does pick up a lot of fingerprints. Like, you can see I'm touching it right now and it's just registering on the top of the device. It's very light though. Like, I like how light this laptop is, especially for a 16-inch notebook. Like, being under 3 pounds is really incredible, but it feels good. It's very basic. There's nothing crazy about this design. You do have tons of I/O. So on the left-hand side, you have 2 Type-C ports. These do support USB 4, and of course you can connect a display to them. HDMI 2.1, USB 3.2, and then on the other side, you have another USB 3.2 port, your combo audio jack, and then you have a micro SD card slot. Now, opening up with one hand is super easy. The display does not go back 180 degrees, but it goes back far enough that you have a lot of angles to play with. A little bit of wobble, not tons, nothing to be too concerned about, but if you want like a perfectly stiff hinge, this one's not gonna give it to you. And then you have your keyboard. And like, this is a good size keyboard, right? Everything doesn't feel cramped, except for maybe the numpad. It's kind of squished to the right-hand side, which I think is a good compromise. I'd rather have a properly spaced keyboard and then a numeric keypad for the few individuals that want it for, let's say, typing in Excel. Your power button up here also acts as your fingerprint scanner. There is white backlighting with a few different levels, but the one thing that I don't like is the keyboard deck. Like, this thing is ridiculously squishy. Like, you press on this, I'm afraid like the whole laptop is gonna implode. Like, imagine this after a few years typing on it. Like, it doesn't feel too bad now, but it's gonna feel very, very soft. You do have a massive touchpad on the bottom. Again, very squishy around it, even at the top over here. It's a glass touchpad, so it feels very good to use. Tons of stickers. You got stickers for days. The sticker man is basically working his butt off to make sure the 400 stickers are on here. But look, the star of the show is obviously this display. Like, this is a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, OLED display. It's 120 hertz, but I did notice that it came at 60 hertz right out of the box. So you're gonna have to go into your settings under advanced display and change it to 120 to experience that fluidity. But the color accuracy, the color gamut, the screen brightness is all exactly where it should be. So right now you're staring at the front-facing camera of the Acer Swift Edge 16. This is a 1440p camera. You guys let me know how it looks, and more importantly, how my microphone sounds. And also, can you hear the fans? So I've already tested a Ryzen 7 7840U CPU in the Framework 13 not too long ago, and this one, you know, performs very close to it. I couldn't use Cinebench R24. For some reason on the Framework and on this laptop, it does not work. It must be something to do with these new Ryzen chips. Maybe it doesn't have the proper updates to the program itself to support it. So I had to use Geekbench 6 instead. Now, I did test it on battery mode, and obviously you will lose some performance. Now, if you're buying this for Photoshop, it performs very well, but I did find that the Framework laptop kept pretty close, considering that is a 13-inch notebook. But if you do plan on using this for Premiere Pro, maybe for the odd video edit, I did find the Framework 13 to be slightly faster. Again, these are not like hardcore video editing machines, but you know, you could load up a project, quickly change something, render it out, even though it will take longer than a laptop with a dedicated GPU. At least you have that accessibility. Now, the weird thing about this laptop is the fan noise. Like, the fans are always on. Like, even just loading up a browser, it doesn't matter if it's on balance mode or efficiency mode, the fans are always spinning. And it's not like they're super loud, like they do stay around 40 and below decibels, that is, but it's kind of annoying, you know, because on the Framework 13, that has one big fan and I never hear it, like never hear it unless I'm pushing it to its full potential. But on this guy, I hear it all the time. Now, heat management is very interesting on this laptop because temperatures overall were lower than the Framework 13, about 15 to 16 degrees Celsius lower, which is a pretty big difference, right? But the reason being is because the average core clock speeds could not maintain the same speed as the Framework. The Framework stayed in the 3000s, whereas this guy stayed around 1700 to 1800, which is really low for a CPU like this. In fact, I feel like they're sacrificing a bit too much performance to get the CPU temps way too low. Like there's another 10 to 20 degrees Celsius that they can play with to give you a bit more performance. Now, in all fairness, most people are not buying this laptop to crush crazy video edits or do any sort of 3D work. Most people are buying this to like live in Excel, live in Microsoft Office, and just get good battery life. Now, sound quality on this is okay. There's two bottom firing speakers. They're clean, they're crisp, they just don't get super loud, and they lack any bass whatsoever. So I'm an idiot. I completely stripped the bottom screw over here. And what you get is a 2-fan system with one thick copper heat pipe. And I think that's the reason why fan noise on this guy is louder than the Framework 13. You got 2 fans going compared to one bigger fan on the smaller laptop. There is one drive that is swappable on the bottom right. It is very good in terms of read and write speeds, but because there's so much space on this motherboard, they could have totally put a second drive on here. Wi-Fi card is swappable. It's a Wi-Fi 6E card, but the battery life, very good, like over 8 hours and 30 minutes before needing to charge. The only unfortunate thing about this laptop is that RAM is completely soldered onto the motherboard. So whatever RAM you buy on this, that's what you're completely stuck with for the duration of using this laptop. So not much has changed in terms of the design for the Acer Swift Edge 16 compared to last year's model. In fact, it's very much the same laptop, just with a newer processor. And the newer 7840U is a great processor. Like you could technically game with this if you really want to. The 7080 AM inside of here is more than capable to play older titles just fine, as long as you're okay dropping the resolution. But calling this like AI focused laptop is a little bit of a stretch. Like it's great we're finally getting these camera features, but this is nothing we haven't seen before. The real AI, the real stuff that's coming to these laptops will be introduced over the next few years, where having proper neural engines will come standard with most CPUs. But look, this is a LG Gram 16 competitor, and I think it really comes down to the price. If you can find this for significantly cheaper, then you'll have a very similar experience for a lot lower price point. The only thing I don't like about this laptop is the keyboard deck. It's a little too soft for my liking, and I would have loved upgradable RAM. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.